Hey everybody, we're live.
Ooh. Hey.
Bill looks different and changed his tag to Jessica, so that's what's going on here. No, just kidding. Welcome to the Cooler Heads podcast. Bill's still living in his motel, so he's dealing with that. I'll let him talk to that in a little bit. We wanted to do an episode, because part of this whole podcast thing, the Cooler Heads, was to basically try to help understand understand why we get into some of these arguments and how to hit these things head on. So I thought, what better way to have answers to that, to have a woman technician. So Jessica, why don't you introduce yourself?
I'm Jessica. I'm a HVAC residential service technician. I work in Florida for Kalos. You know, Brian, that guy. That guy.
A couple people know him, I think.
One or two.
I'm married to an HVAC technician. He is the one who pretty much got me into the trade. So I've been on both sides of the working 50 hours and 60 hours and waiting on my husband to get home from working 60 hours.
Yeah. You said your husband actually got you in this trade. Why would he do such a horrible thing?
I don't know. I think he secretly hates me.
Okay. I mean, that makes sense.
I mean, yeah, it's checks out.
So how long have you been actually in the trade then?
Like 3.5 years.
Wow. Okay.
They don't work together though. Well, not on purpose, right?
Well, we used to work together.
And then you almost killed him?
No. When I first got into the trade, I was at the same company as he was. He was a service technician and I was a maintenance technician.
Okay.
So I did 7 maintenances a day, 5 days a week. That's it. That was a lot. And it got very monotonous very quickly.
Doing the maintenance over and over again?
Yeah.
I get it.
And anytime there was a problem, you had to set up a service tech to come out. I couldn't do anything except for change a capacitor.
That doesn't sound enjoyable at all.
No, it wasn't. So I left and went to Kalos, and he stayed for a while. And then he's at another company now. But I still work with him.
Why has he considered going to Kalos?
I don't know. He seems to be good where he's at right now. So
yeah,
cool.
How long has he been in the industry?
About 12 years. Okay,
and you've been with him for just the 3 years, or you've been with him longer than that? Like how long? Yeah. How long did he wait to rope you into this thing? The work, not the relationship.
That's a great question. That takes numbers. It's too early for numbers.
Okay.
No, he's probably been doing it longer than 12 years.
Okay.
But, he was doing it when we got together, and that was 10, 11 years ago. So.
Okay. Damn. So you've been with him just about almost his whole career then.
Well, almost. Holy cow. Yeah, almost.
She's doing math this morning. She's like, oh my God, it's been that long.
Mm-hmm.
So Adam, how long have you been in the trade in total, and how long have you been with your wife?
Well, that's like a loaded question a little bit, because full time I've been in the trade for 21 years.
Mm-hmm.
Previous to that, I was like working with my dad, a little bit here and there, one day here, one day there, on weekends and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But like he said, from what my dad says, he said the earliest service call that I actually signed my name on a ticket that I was working with him, I was 9 years old. So
Damn.
that doesn't really count, obviously.
Yeah.
But like I've been surrounded by it my whole life, and then I've been married almost 15 years, and it's been a freaking roller coaster.
Yeah, I can attest that, 15 years, like it gets harder for a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, because I mean, the kids are getting older. Not so much of the focus is on the kids anymore. Now you're not, I don't want to say forced, but I mean, you're basically talking with your significant other now a lot more. And so there's more time to be irritated by one another, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's, like I said, I've been married, I think, 16 years, I think. Yeah, it was 16 years this year. And I've been in the industry probably about 20. So I mean, she knew when I started, when we started together. I mean, because we met via Match.com, because I didn't have time to date. I didn't think that I would meet the next Mrs. Wetzel with puke on her shoes in a bar. You know what I mean? So I didn't really see the, as far as dating, I was like, well, yeah, let's go to a bar to find someone. You know what I mean? I just didn't have time for that. So, that's why I opted for the online dating, because I wasn't meeting anybody, because I was working a shit ton of hours when I first, started this industry. And that's what I'd be curious about. Like, I mean, you've basically you guys are married, correct?
Presently.
Yep. And Jessica, you guys are married as well?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm trying to figure out how to put this question, because I'm really curious about this, because the expectation, right off the bat, right? Because before you got married, you knew how busy he was all the time, and so on and so forth. And one of the things I'm very analytical and very logical, so I didn't understand why she would get mad, when knowing that, that I was going to be working late. And then all of a sudden, she's mad at me that I'm working late. I'm like, well, we had this discussion. You said it was cool. You said it was all right. So, I mean, what have you guys done, to make sure that wasn't, because now both of you are working a decent amount, right?
Yeah.
So how are you dealing with that? Like, what do you, what helps that out? The
So
fact that you're more maybe understanding because you're in the trade?
When we first got together, I understood that he would work a massive amount of hours. It was in my brain. I already knew it. But I moved halfway across the country to be with him. So I had no support system. So it was really difficult. I went through kind of a dark place when we first got together, because I had moved away from everything. And here I am, and he's not here to help me. So it was a little hard at first. But I did my own thing, and I got done with that, and I was fine.
So, I mean, did it change any when you started being in the trade then?
It really did change a lot. There was a post, I don't know where it was, if it was somewhere on Facebook, talking about, real techs have been divorced 5 times or something. And I had to comment on it, like, real techs make their wife a tech, and then it doesn't matter anymore.
That's awesome.
Because I'm working just as much as he is.
I have to imagine, like, the divorce rate has to be fairly high. I think I've skated on the idea of divorce, many times. There's been many arguments where you're like, this is the argument, this is going to break the camel's back, today's the day, and then somehow you get through it. But
yeah, I'm see, like, I'm fairly cool, calm, and collect, but like when when you when you have an argument with me or just a discussion with me and you're not even seeing anything logical, like I'm ready to explode inside. Like, how are you not fucking understanding this? I'm breaking it down and like explain to me what, like, one of the biggest fights was always like, hey, it's already late. I'm gonna miss dinner. Do you mind if I work late since I'm already out? So then this way I can be home early tomorrow and be present, be with the kids, and I'll make dinner tomorrow, whatever. Yeah, that's fine. And then I get to the job site, and then I call her up and say, hey, I got here safe. I'm all right. Well, when are you gonna be home? We just had the conversation. I said I was gonna be home. Like I was gonna take another call, so it really didn't matter what time. Well, you just need to be home right now. The kids are off the wall. I'm like, but you just told me that I could work, and then like it just didn't make any sense to me. And like that's when I start losing my cool, where I'm like, what you're saying right now doesn't make any sense. Like the past conversation never fucking happened.
So you have to keep in mind that men think logically and women think emotionally. So you cannot expect a woman to react with logic. It's never going to happen.
You say emotionally, and I think estrogen Molotov cocktail.
Seriously.
It's true. It's true. That's no joke.
Okay, breaking news. She's telling the freaking truth. So all right, I'm listening. I'm riveted now. You keep it coming. Keep it coming.
So you have to. So I have a background in volunteering with a marriage ministry. So I've got some knowledge. I've got some stuff. First of all, the way I mess with Craig is to use logic against him, and he can't argue with me. So if there's any women listening, use logic. They can't argue with it. It's beautiful.
But hold on, but we're logical creatures. So like, yeah, that's why I don't understand. I will logic the fuck out of you. Like in the conversation, like I will bring theory. Manufacturers hate when I write, documents to back up theory of like why that unit failed. And like, cause I'll put in application engineering bulletins and all this other stuff. So I'm still going to school here. I'm still listening, Jesse. Just keep going.
But if your wife were to come up to you and throw down a logical statement of why she needs what she needs instead of an emotional one, you would hear the logic better than the emotion.
That is true.
Then why don't we just all do that like all the time?
Well, why don't you reach her on an emotional level? Why is it her job to be logical to you?
Because emotions don't make any sense.
Doesn't have to.
Touche.
It's about working together. You're a team.
You see what she just fucking did there? She just dropped logic on me and just fucking stopped me in my track because I wasn't expecting it.
Yeah.
You see what just happened?
Yeah.
Poor Craig. Wow. All right, well, I'm deleting this one. She ain't seeing this one. Fuck that. She's not watching this one.
You guys got to work together.
Yeah.
And you guys got to reach each other on a level where you can be. You got to compromise. And
well, I do it after the math because like when she's yelling at me emotionally and I'm trying to break that shit down to try to understand, you know what I mean? I'm good at analyzing the conversation that we had and then basically going back to her and being like, okay, just so we understand. I forget what the hell the argument was. But it was something along the lines where once I broke it down to her, like how she was making me feel on the way that she was reacting, like it's not just baking soda and vinegar. It's sulfuric acid and hydrochloric when you mix the shit together.
you used an emotional and she could connect to that. Boom.
Yeah. Well, damn. Fuck.
Well, hey, let me tell you something. My wife tells me that she gets along with me and she likes me the best if I take like a pot gummy. You know, 'cause we'll have like deeper conversations, and it will be like, and that's how it goes. You know, like a day will go by, and we'll start having like a really deep conversation about something. She's like, "Did you take a pot gummy?" Like she could sense it. You know.
Morning, Bill.
Hey, what's up, guys? I forgot that you emailed the StreamYard link instead of sending it in Messenger.
Oh, okay.
So I'm like, what the hell? You guys started without me. And then I'm like, oh, that's right. Brett does things differently. So I'm like, let me look in my email.
Yeah, sorry about that. We'll have to discuss that off air.
So glad to be here, though. What did I miss?
Jessica's dropping knowledge and just made my brain explode.
Oh, womanly knowledge. Oh man, I gotta. Somebody's at the door. I gotta go. Let me go see what's going on here.
You want? All right. All right.
No, I want to hear what she has to say.
Okay.
It's been pretty good.
Oh, dude, like I was just trying to understand things, like why. Yeah, this is going to be really good. So I'm telling Jessica the mock arguments that I have, and then responses, and then why she didn't connect with me and I didn't connect with her. So go ahead and reiterate that, because we all have membranes. So I'm sure, you going over that, what you were talking about emotionally and logically. So basically I was asking why, like, I get in these arguments, and women are very emotional. As Adam agreed, estrogen Molotov cocktails, because that's what they are. You don't know when the fuck they're going to blow up, and they're explosive,
like a menstrual machine gun.
Exactly. And so we were talking about trying to understand what she meant with what she said. Like, hey, I'm going to work late because, first I'll ask. I was like, do you mind if I work late? I'm already going to be home late. Yeah, that's fine. And then 10 minutes later, when I call her from the service call to tell her, hey, I made it here safe. When are you going to be home? And like, I can't stand that. Like, I just can't stand that, because then it always stems into an argument. So go ahead and just, explain that one more time, because I'm sure we could all use it. Plus, I want to see Bill's brain explode.
Okay. Again, men think logically and women think emotionally. So if you attack an emotional discussion with logic, it clashes. And for a woman to attack a logical plea with emotion, it doesn't work. So you just really have to work on, if she is coming to you with emotion, meet her with emotion. And on the flip side, she has to react with you. If you're coming at to her on a logical level, you have to meet her, or she has to meet you at a logical level.
So should I start taking like estrogen hormone therapy now then?
No.
So I can understand it better?
Even men can communicate on an emotional level. It's not how you're wired to do it, but you can do it.
I agree.
See, one thing that I've noticed is women, they don't necessarily mean, like what Brett was saying, they don't necessarily mean what they say, from what I found. And you should know what I meant, right? That's what I get a lot. You should know what I meant by that.
Is that sort of so what happens in my situation along those same lines is like, if I'm in this similar position as Brett, where I'm like, hey, I'm going to work late. And she's like, yeah, that's fine. It's like noon or whatever. I'm going to work late. That's fine. And then like 4 hours later, when I'm like, hey, remember, I'm going to work late. And she's like, well, I got dinner ready, blah, blah, blah. And then it turns into this whole big thing and a giant explosion. And what I've come to realize is like that explosion wasn't necessarily from that situation. That explosion was just the fuse that lit off something deeper, something bigger. Like there's something underneath that she's already upset about. It's just like, this is what set it off. And then now I'm on top of the grenade, protecting everybody else.
Yeah, that happens.
That's
It's
what it
legit.
seems like.
Which it's super confusing, right? Because it's like, hey, I asked you if I could work late, or I told you I have to work late, and it was fine a few hours ago, and now it's like you hate me and want me to die.
Okay, but fine is never fine.
True.
Okay.
Yeah, it's fine. You interpreting tone, because like what is it? 90% of communication is nonverbal.
This is so weird having a woman on here and like telling us woman stuff.
Well, this is just human stuff.
I guess you can call them humans.
Sometimes.
I think what we need to start, I keep telling myself I'm going to start tracking the menstrual cycle, and I don't do it, but I should, because then you know when you should be walking on eggshells, right?
No, that's when you schedule your classes, like all your training classes. Like, oh man, I got to go away for a week next week. Like, oh, again, it just happens to coincide every month with my cycle.
That's what I did. And
Very smart.
well, no, it turned into be a big thing. It was like,
Oh yeah.
it was like a trust thing and blah, blah, blah. And well, I think it all kind of stems from somebody we all know and love. Well, I would, you know,
Yeah, I wouldn't say that.
love lightly.
Yeah, we tolerate.
Has a girlfriend, and I also use the word girlfriend lightly. In a hospital in the same place I was this whole last week in Minneapolis. And well, she's not in the hospital, her daughter's in the hospital. He asked me, do you mind if you could drop off some flowers? He's like, because I can't be there, and that would be awesome if you could do it. And I told my wife, I'm like, hey, just so you know, I'm gonna go to you're gonna see on the credit card statement,
Shouldn't have done that.
I'm picking up flowers. And I explained it, and it was like, holy shit, I'm cheating on her. You know what I mean? And it was like a big deal, and it was a day and a half of a big deal.
Yeah,
And
you might as well have just told her you have a second family and you're just going to see them.
well, then everything got fine. It was fine. And then I get home and she's like, well, I hate to admit this, but yeah, I got my period. I'm like, oh, okay.
Well, I want to go back to something Jessica said a little while ago, which was like you have to meet emotion with emotion. Like how do I do that? Because I'm, as you said, I'm pretty logical. I'm mostly dead inside of all emotion. Everything I say sounds the same. So when my wife's having like an emotional breakdown, I don't know like how to do that. Like, oh my God, are you okay? I feel bad inside. You are happy. I am happy.
So are you really emotionally dead inside, or is it just the monotone?
Honestly, I can't tell anymore. It's been years since I felt an emotion.
I know you feel anger.
Oh yeah, that's an emotion I feel quite a lot. But that I try to navigate through logically before I respond to like my wife and things, because one of the bad things that I do is I take work frustration home with me, and then I let my home life be my vent for all my work frustrations, and
Well, I think
that never goes well.
I think you and the rest of us also we all use each other as a sounding board with the frustrations of work, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's usually like a good portion of what we talk about. It's like, listen to this shit.
Yeah, 100%.
See, that's where the benefit of me being in the trade comes in, because I can do that with my husband and he can do that with me. Like I'll call him in the middle of the day and I need to vent. Give me a minute.
Yeah.
That's so strange to me. I can't imagine like I can talk to my wife for the most part, but her level of understanding exactly like these things,
she's not hearing it.
Yeah, it's like she'll say like, oh man, or she'll give me her opinion like, oh well, that's dumb, or this is dumb, or whatever about this, but it's never like, you can tell she only gets it on a certain level, like only on the surface she gets it. It's nothing like you are in the trade, so you understand much more deeply than most.
Yeah.
You're like the unicorn, you know.
I keep telling Craig I'm a unicorn. Now he can know it's true.
Yeah, it's more like a Yoda. Like a Yoda of the woman
The
HVAC person.
The woman HVAC Yoda.
Yeah,
It
like
just
wise.
well, and like I said before you got here, Bill, as Craig and I used to volunteer for a marriage ministry, so I have learned a ton. We've done a marriage conference, and with my first husband, we tried to make things work, and we did a couple marriage conferences. So I've picked up things and tips and tricks that may not have worked the first time around, but they seem to be working well this time.
I assume it's working well this time because you and Craig have agreed upon who's making the sandwiches and who's not.
I mean, nobody makes the sandwiches.
Oh, see, that's what I'm talking about.
Oh,
Perfect.
well, his dad used to say, a woman's job is to make a man happy, and women are really good at that. A man's job is to read a woman's mind, and they suck at it.
I mean, half of that's true, I would say. I definitely suck at reading my wife's mind. She's not the best at making me happy sometimes.
I would say, look, like I think that could be a little bit deeper than making a man happy. Like, hey, a guy gets home, he's sitting on the couch, he's like, bring me dinner, this or that or whatever.
I'd laugh.
That's like in the olden days or whatever, but like, right, I think from the way I feel is it's more like a man wants to be appreciated. And like if you show gratitude or like, I bet your day was hard or something, like, whatever, just like talking and saying that, like, versus not saying that could make the difference of your mood 100% as a guy.
Are you ready for another truth bomb?
Yes.
So, men want respect. That is kind of what they crave. Biblically speaking, a woman, it tells you that a woman is to respect her husband. It's not a natural thing for a woman to do. So we're told that's what we need to do. Women, on the other hand, they need the love. And men aren't. Yes, men love, but they're not wired to show that in the same way a woman is. So biblically speaking, that's why it states a man is to love his wife.
Man, I would say that's pretty
spot on.
I can't tell you how many times like me and my wife are watching a movie, like a Hallmark movie or something, and she's like, oh, that's real love or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, those are actors. It's not real. Nobody in real life acts that way besides Chris and his wife. Yeah, Chris and his wife. But, it's always one of these things where I'm always sort of gently reminded, like it's never a fight, but I'm always gently reminded that I'm not the romantic type. And I really never have been. But, I try to show love, but it's honestly, I don't really know how. I'd be like, I come home like, hey, I cut a compressor in half for you. Here you go. Like, that's it.
So romantic gestures, loving gestures don't have to be grand gestures.
Give us some examples. You know this stuff. I don't know.
Bring her home her favorite candy. Her favorite snack.
Yeah, you do that, and then all of a sudden you're asked why you're trying to make her fat.
I was just gonna say, like, she's already fat enough. I don't want to make her fatter.
Oh my Lord. I love you guys.
Like, maybe they have a sugar-free option.
Just any small thing that she knows that you thought about her means the world to her.
I've tried that with an erection, and she usually bats it away.
Yeah, I would do the same.
Doesn't work that
Like-
way.
Like flowers. Flowers are. I don't know. I've always thought about like bringing home flowers, but I never. Like at the end of the day, I'm tired and I don't want to go stop by a flower shop and plus, here's
Order
like
it
the
online.
logical part of my. What's that?
Order it online. You know,
That-
it's just money.
But
I
like
mean,
the logical part of my mind is like I'm gonna buy these flowers and they're gonna be dead in like 3 days.
so buy your plant.
I mean, yeah, I don't like plants. So we got like 90 plants in our house.
Well, then you're gonna have to make some concessions.
I like the candy idea. She has some candies that she likes. I can get behind that.
Just any small thing, you know. And that it works for men too, though. Men, Craig was having a really crappy day the other day, and I got him his favorite candy, and he was thankful. Just a little something. I know you're having a crappy day. Here, shove your face with peanut butter cups.
Nice.
Are you golfing right now, Brett? You're muted. You're muted.
So everyone in the community has a golf cart. Because the development has the elementary school in the development that I live in. So everyone has a golf cart. Go ahead, Bill. I'm waiting for the punchline.
Where's your little puppy at? Shouldn't he be driving?
I don't have a puppy.
You know what I mean.
Oh,
Remember?
my daughter?
No, your puppy. You were talking about you getting a puppy a while back?
I don't
A human
remember.
puppy? A human puppy that services you all the time and drives you around and brings
Oh,
you
yeah,
things?
I get that. No, I don't have a butler.
You could
Like
talk to
the-
Chris. He's experiencing the whole
The
butler
Fresh
thing.
Prince of Cool Sis?
Oh, I should have not showed the video. Thank you for that. Appreciate that.
I like your V-neck too.
Yeah, listen, I wasn't going to use this, but I'm throwing out the birthday cards. My birthday today. You can't break my balls.
Oh dang! Happy
Oh, it's your
birthday!
birthday today?
Yeah,
You're old like me.
Oh,
I hit the big 4-0.
happy birthday. I hit the big 4-0 this year too.
I will be this year too.
I am 41. I'm older than all you people.
Wow.
You old bastard.
What was the Great Depression like, Adam?
Glad that happened. Yeah, so tell us about the question. So anyway, no, I don't remember the. I remember vaguely the puppy now,
Yes.
but
You'll get there. You'll get there.
the kid had softball today, so we tried to share the load like we talked about before. Is I was going to take Elena to softball, and Brienne's actually the baseball coach for my son's team because I'm an idiot and I don't know anything about baseball. Just you can laugh all you want. It's the truth. I don't know much about sports. I'll watch socially, but that's the extent of it. I really don't know. I don't know much about many sports. So you should have
that
saw.
brings us.
Good.
I was just saying that brings up a good point that I wonder if Jessica could give us some advice on. Like, Brett, like you not knowing about sports and stuff reminds me that, for example, like when my daughter has doctor's appointments or various other appointments, like I usually never know when any of that stuff is because my wife has got a lot more free time than I do. So she's in charge of making and taking my daughter to those appointments. And let's say if there's an appointment and my wife will ask me about it, I'm like, I don't know when that is or where that is or anything like that. I usually get in trouble for not knowing. But then my comeback is, yeah, but you don't know how the bills are paid. You don't know where the bills are paid. You don't know where which company holds our house insurance. You don't know which company holds the title to our house. Like all these other things, like you don't know that part of. And it's never, again, this is probably one of those logical, emotional conversations, but it's never like, she's never at the end of that conversation, she's never like, oh yeah, I see your point. You're right. It never ends that way. It usually ends with us fighting. But like,
Sounds like you're both wrong.
what kind of advice would you give to that situation? Fix my marriage is what I'm saying.
Weekly, get together weekly and discuss about what you've got going on the next week. That way you're all on the same page.
What about a big desk calendar? Then I could just like walk by and like look at it and then like, oh yeah, I remember
That
that.
would work too, but it's
That
still
seems like
good
a
to
good
come
idea.
together once a week, at least once a week, come together. It doesn't have to be a date per se, but just spend time together. What, baby?
Yeah, so I mean, like we have a family calendar, so everyone knows what's going on with everybody. So like, I travel a lot, so I'll put my travel arrangements down there. And then you know, you don't really have anyone here in Texas, besides my mother-in-law. So I mean, you know, she's really the only one because we really don't have any friends. So I mean, those, you know, she usually tries to help us out where we go out, try to go out at least once a month, if not once every other week, just to spread up the monotony. You know what I mean? Because sometimes,
Mhm.
like, you know, she had said to me the one time when she was home a lot with the kids, you know, when I was working a shit ton, I was so tired I couldn't really help, you know, with everything with the kids. And, you know, I do realize that, you know, being a stay-at-home parent is stressful as shit. You know, and like I understand like the monotony of, you know, no one talking to you except for your kids, and whenever you're talking to them, they're asking you for something, which can get stressful over a while. So
Yeah, I
getting
would agree.
out to you know, have that date helps.
Yeah. You start to feel like the only purpose you're there is to buy people shit and pay bills, you know?
I don't have any advice on that. So my boys or our kids are older. So when I moved to Florida, my children chose to stay with their dad. And my daughter, Craig's daughter, I call her my stepdaughter, she lived with her mom. So I considered us empty nesters because our kids were younger, but now my boys are 18 and 20. Mackenzie's 17. We don't have young ones that we have to consider that. So
Yeah, but they still always want shit. I have a 14-year-old and she always still wants shit. She told me the other day, she's like, "Hey dad, I'm going to be 16 soon." I'm like, "Uh-huh." She's like, "Well, the minimum that my friends are getting a car for is about $25,000. So I'm just letting you know ahead of time." And I was like,
get a
Wow.
job.
"Yeah, my first car was a 71 Plymouth Valiant I paid $2,700 for. So buck up, buttercup."
That's the problem. You live in the wrong neighborhood, I would
I
say.
know.
That's a good point.
The only
Yeah,
reason
you live in the spoiled kid neighborhood.
I know, and they're bad. So they're you know, some of the parents are like, "Why do they act like that?" I'm like, "Well, I don't know. They probably learned from the parents." But the schools, but the only reason why we're like here, why I like it here is no other reason than my kids have a really good education. You know, my oldest daughter, you know, she's a little bit on the spectrum, so she needs that help with the, you know, the 504, the special ed stuff. And we were in a school district one time; they didn't even want to have to deal with her. So you know, that was a source of arguments between my wife and I constantly because my kid would be upset, for rightfully so, because she could sense, you know, even though she was younger, 12, you know, 10, you know, she sensed that the teachers didn't want her around.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so she felt that, and we could feel that off of her. Like, she'd be upset, like they want to put me in a closet and not really just give me schoolwork. And so we alleviated that by moving to a really good school district that they actually care about the kids, you know. Sorry, I got off on a tangent because we got one way. Sorry.
No, I can relate to that 100% because
Ditto.
one of my sons has to do the same thing, and there's like a whole process in figuring out what they need, this and that, and the school really doesn't want to give it at first, and you have to do these tests and that, and then they have to do it, and yeah.
and it's stressful. It's stressful as shit because your kid at one point is going through all this stuff, and you feel that emotion coming from him or her. You know what I mean? And they're so young, they don't really know how to express it. So then mom and dad are arguing because they want you to be happy, and you're having a hard time being happy because you can't even get the school on your side.
Right.
Yeah, we had a sort of a bullying situation with my daughter in her school, and we ended up transferring schools, not specifically because of that, but because of overall the way the school seems to handle things, their track record of similar issues. And while all of that was going down, it led to a few arguments of, one of those things where, he said, she said, and we're not at the school seeing all of this. And, one student says this, the other one says this, and the teachers are like, yeah, we don't know what's going on. And it was a very, very stressful time. And we just ended up transferring schools.
That's hard.
Mm-hmm. So let's get back on a better topic besides bullying and all this fun stuff.
Sorry.
So,
Our special needs kids.
yeah, beating up special needs kids and everything. I mean, that's all fun and games, but
I've got one of those too, so I get it.
We got a lot of fans like that on the HVAC Overtime show. But so I guess going back to, I'm still trying to wrap my mind around the meeting emotion with emotion with the womanly species.
It's
Now
not,
the average guy,
oh,
like I would say, like the average guy, a lot of these guys in this group, I don't know if, maybe a few of them are watching, but a lot of guys in this space, in this industry, don't feel comfortable talking about these things, which I think this is why this is a great thing that we're doing, is at least like we're opening up, and hopefully that'll, give a platform or a space for other people to open up about these things. But like a lot of guys are just closed off and completely not emotional, like more not emotional than me even. So what would be a starting point for one of these blue collar guys who are kind of closed off, but they go through the motions every day, they live in an unhappy marriage? Like, do you have any advice for a guy who's just like doing the daily thing, arguing with the wife, doesn't see a way out, maybe divorce is on the horizon, like they're just going through the motions, being miserable all their life with their wife and arguing, home late all the time? And
oh, that's a hard one.
that's a tall order.
That's a deep one because it's so situational. And
True.
For men, being emotional is not necessarily their default. And for women, being logical is not our default. But it's something you can work on. It's something you can practice, and it's something you can get better at. You just have to make the effort. There's some, counseling, going to a marriage retreat. It may sound corny, but it's helpful. I think that Craig and I have a pretty awesome relationship. Like, I can go to work with him for 10 hours, and the only thing
That's
we
so
find out
crazy.
is, I really have to pee. Why didn't you stop there?
I can't even fathom the idea of working with my wife for an entire day, like at my job.
Yeah.
I mean, can you guys just imagine that, Brett, Adam? Imagine that. You're at a job, an install, doing whatever in a rack room, mechanical room, and your wife is there with you the whole time.
She basically is
Working with you.
yelling at me.
I guess in your world, Brett, the best thing would be like in a mechanical room. You can't hear her. She's just flapping her jaws, and you're like, can't hear you.
Just
There's
keep
19 compressors over here. I can't hear you.
I thought you said it's broken. Why is it running? I don't know. Something else is wrong.
I went through phases, right? I went through phases where it's like when we first got married, I was calling her all the time, this and that. And then after a while, I was just Yeah, we kind of know. Like I didn't really talk to her during the day. I didn't call her. She didn't call me. For early on, it was like, when are you gonna be home? When are you gonna be home? When are you gonna be home? Like, I don't know. It's the same answer as yesterday. I don't know. I don't have an answer for you. I have no clue when I'm gonna be home. And it's even worse
Yeah.
because I own my own company, small business, so you got to kind of keep going until things are done. I can't just put it on somebody else. You know. But yeah, now I'm kind of back to the routine where I'm trying to text her and call her more in the day and stuff. And I don't know.
I think guys end up defaulting that because they're getting yelled at from work. That they're not getting stuff done or they're not getting that done quick enough. And then the one support group that we're supposed to have, our spouse, is not really being the support group. They're yelling at me when I'm going to be home. So I'm like, what's the lesser of two evils? I just don't talk to her during the day unless I absolutely need to.
Yeah.
And that sounds awful. But I mean, that's the realism of this. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to. I'm already getting yelled at. I don't want to get yelled at any more than what I am. So, like, I'll talk to you at lunchtime, and I'll talk to you when I have a general idea of what's going on in the afternoon, so I can, help you accommodate. So, being home now has helped a lot because before it was always the unknown. I didn't know when I was going to be home. I didn't know when I was going to be available. Now I'm able to be like, okay, I have to go to California this week, but I can be around this week. And so I know I'm not going to be any help to you, but what can I do this week to assist with that? So you're not so stressed when I do call.
That reminds me
That's
of
awesome. That's a good start.
That reminds me of two things. One, sort of going back to that tall order that I asked Jessica to answer to fix everybody who's listening's marriage. That I was thinking about this as everybody else was talking. I think the thing that's sort of beginning to help me or has helped me is over the last year and a half, maybe even 2 years, I've really been focusing on myself. I know it sounds kind of corny and like woo woo, but I've really been focusing on fixing myself, like addressing my own frustrations, my own problems, my own inabilities to deal with work frustrations, leave them at work, and come home and properly, enthusiastically engage with my family. And I would suggest everybody who's having difficulties should probably do that. Evaluate yourself first, fix all your own problems first, and that will help you either determine whether your marriage is going to last, or at the very least, it'll help you. If you get a divorce, it'll help you move on from all that, and you'll just be a better person for it. That and the other thing that Brett's comment made me think of is shopping in a mall with a woman. For me, is horrible. It's very, very horrible. It's we go shopping and I never need
Is it
anything
like
from a
the
mall.
seventh layer of hell?
It's pretty close, yeah. I mean, I would rather cut my leg off below the knee, not above, but below the knee, than go shopping. And here's why. So we'll go shopping, and I'm just following around the family, like they're looking at clothes and whatever, and I never have anything to buy in a mall because I don't need anything from a mall. So I'm just walking around. Sometimes there's something that catches my eye, but most of the time I'm walking around. And since there's nothing for me at the mall, I tend to like look at my phone or play on my phone. But then I get like talked to about, you're always on your phone. You're always doing this. Like, why don't you go looking at something? Like, I'm like, I don't know. I'm just here hanging out with you guys. I mean, there's nothing for me to do here. Like it just sounds stupid, but like what is a man supposed to do in a mall situation when he's shopping with his wife? Like, I don't understand it. It's very confusing to me.
Well, maybe you make a deal, and after the mall, you go to Home Depot, and they get to walk around with you at Home Depot.
I don't see that happening.
No.
No.
But
Well, then you'll get a list of stuff to do. Hey, I was really thinking about remodeling the bathroom. So while we're here, why don't we pick up paint and we can find some other stuff for you to do?
Oh yeah, that's a good point. And then you're walking around the paint aisle, which is another place I don't want to be. And then I'm on my phone again, and she's like, "What color should we do for this?" I'm like, "I don't know. Like, let's just throw a bag of M&Ms on the floor. We'll pick a color."
I don't know. I can't. I'm not a marriage fixer. I just have some ideas and things I've learned along the way. But most of it is communication and compromise.
I can agree with that.
It's hard
Compromise
doing.
on different levels.
It's hard doing the. It's hard doing the. It's hard doing both because like you said before, we're logical creatures and women are more emotional.
It is. Well, one of the marriage retreats I did, it's called Love and Respect, and it really went into how men need the respect and women need the love, and how it's not natural for the other to give it. And it said, women speak through pink megaphones, hear through pink headphones, and see through pink glasses, whereas men do the same with blue. And it's just everything we do is similar but different. And different is not bad. We just have to recognize it's different. And when you're both on the same page with it's different, you can work around to how you can make it work for you.
Sometimes we'll be walking and my wife will want to like hold my hand, and it's so weird. It's the weirdest thing ever.
So I have something to add.
Just throwing that out there.
Is it weird? Is it weird because you're not used to the affection because usually you're getting yelled at? Because I had a discussion.
Yeah, that's a good point.
With my wife where I was like, you can't go from 100% hating me to 100% hey, I'm in love with you, because it's odd. It's something that I'm not used to.
That happens
100%.
That happens frequently, all the time.
So that's why I'm glad we're doing this, because this like it's comparing like am I the only one this happens to, or does this happen all over? But talking to you guys more and more about this, it happens more and more frequently with everybody, and I don't think it's just limited to this trade. I think it's everybody.
See, this is why I think women drive with both feet on both pedals all the time, because it's just like gas, brake, gas and brake, a little bit of both.
He's using that as a metaphor.
A metaphor. At first, I was like, "What? We don't do that."
Yeah, 100%. I guarantee everybody does. At least that's the way it feels. They're like, "Oh, I love you. I hate you. I love you. Oh, here, hold my hand."
Well, maybe you guys can help me with something. Let's see. So one of my biggest gripes is when I am mad for a legitimate reason, and I'm expressing my frustration, and then Craig gets mad at me for being mad. That doesn't make
my
sense.
wife does that. Yeah.
Why are you mad at me? I don't understand that. Is that a guy thing, or is that just an individual weird person thing?
Oh,
I thought that was a woman thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I experience that quite a bit where like that's why sometimes when I'm asked like what's going on, how do you feel or something, like I'm like, well, I'm not going to tell you because I'm kind of mad about it, and then you'll just get mad at me for being mad. And then sometimes that actually happens, and I'm like, you asked me how I felt about this, I told you, now you're mad at me because you asked me a question, I gave you the answer. And I was like, I'm very confused at that point.
I thought it was a guy thing. I am lost now.
Maybe it's a both thing, and we're just cracking the case on this.
What about you guys? Adam, Brett, have you experienced this?
Right.
Yeah, I think so. It all blends together at one point, and it sounds horrible to say, but like, the arguments blend together, and I don't even know sometimes how they start, and that's why like sometimes after we do have an argument, like I'm sitting there and internalizing, like, I was told that I don't listen, and I was trying to figure out what she meant by that, and I was like, I get it, I understand, because like I would try to talk to her about something, and she's like, you never just listen, you always just want to try to give me an answer about something, and what I said to her afterwards, I was like, I'm not trying to rehash an argument, but for the past 20 years, I said everyone that's called me always wants me to try to fix something for them. So when you come to me with a problem, my brain automatically goes fix mode. Hey, I need to help you fix this. But that's not really what you want. You want me to
Want to
just
vent
listen,
or
but that's
something?
what I'm not accustomed to.
Well,
That makes sense.
men are naturally fixers. So that makes total sense. But I have to tell Craig sometimes, hey, I just want you to listen. And if you start a conversation with that, I think it puts the husband in a different mindset. Like, okay, I don't have to fix it. I can just listen.
That's a good point. Yeah, because like there's certain conversations where I've had to figure this out the hard way, and my wife is like more or less just venting at me, because she'll be talking and talking, and then I'll be like, I don't know what you want me to do about that. Like, you want me to just like, if she's having a problem at work, you want me to just go there and like walk around with my gun like it's a flashlight and threaten everybody? Like, what do you want me to do about that? And then she's like, no, I'm just venting. Like, why are you getting so upset? I'm like, I don't know. I thought that's how I'm supposed to react to your stories. But had she had opened up with like, hey, I don't want you to do anything about this. I just want to explain. But again, that's more of a logical thing, I suppose.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
love using logic against Craig. It makes my day.
I bet.
See,
I bet he loves it.
overall, I've always my whole life just like bottled things up, and I think it's because I was kind of raised in part by a World War II veteran, and it was like if you started crying, it was like, why you stop being a girl,
Hmm.
So it was just like deal with it and silently deal with it, and then obviously you put out like bad emotions or feelings into the environment, your home environment, and people could sense that. And yeah, but that's one of those situations where like I'm upset about something and then she gets upset with me because I'm not telling her what I'm upset about, so
It all goes
Yeah,
back
this
to
makes
what
me.
you said about communication,
You know
right?
what we should do? Like next week, we should have Chris and his wife come on the show, and we can just like analyze that whole situation, because I don't understand that whole situation. I think Chris got lucky and he scored a chick who's very forgiving and open and just kind of goes with the flow. Because Chris, I'm sure he gets annoying sometimes with his constant, like, I'm doing YouTube, I'm doing this podcast, I'm doing this live stream, and then, oh, I'm going to do another podcast, and then I'm going to go to this manufacturer. And like, he's got all these things going on all the time. So I don't know. I think there's a lot to unpack with that whole thing that we could learn from. So I have to keep that in the back of our minds one day.
he's always smiling. That's one thing.
That's creepy.
Yeah.
It's the upside down pineapple thing. I guarantee it.
You know, like I'll bet you the key to their marriage is pegging.
Oh God.
So just to let you know what I'm doing. So I left to go take my daughter to softball, and I just realized my son has to be at baseball. But I've been trying to call my wife for the past 15 minutes while we've been doing this live stream, and she's not picking up. So I'm riding back real quick to make sure that she's up. So yeah, fun.
Oh man, that's gonna unfold nicely.
We could watch him throw a freaking lamp or something live on the
Yeah,
air.
punch holes in the drywall.
Oh my.
But I do also have to get going because I have an appointment with my daughter that we have to get to pretty soon. But I would like to say, Jessica, it's been a pleasure having you on the show. It was eye-opening. I learned
Well,
some stuff. I'm gonna go buy some candies today if I remember.
Sugar free, of course.
Yeah, I'm gonna put. See what kind of like low-fat candies could I buy?
licorice, no fat.
I think Slim Fast makes some candies.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, I wouldn't get something that says actually Slim Fast on it. But back to what they were saying, Jessica, I appreciate you coming on here and talking with us and trying to womansplain some of the things that we're going through, because I think some of the stuff that we've learned here today might help us out a little bit.
100%.
And even start somewhere.
Yeah.
I hope it helps. I don't have a lot, but I've got a few things.
You don't have a lot, but you got enough. And enough is more than we need sometimes. But all right, guys. Well, I'm going to end the show because I don't know what Brett's doing. I think he's just cruising the neighborhood. And is
Well, thanks for guys listening, and you guys have a great weekend.
All right. See you
Thank
next
you,
time.
guys.
Thank you.
see you guys.
Bye bye.